Hello everyone and welcome back to the Girls Who Graduate YouTube channel. I'm so excited to be back, and today we have a very exciting guest, the founder of All Things Money, who is Ola. She is joining us today. I'm just going to wait to set her up on Zoom over here. Obviously we can't have face-to-face conversations at the moment due to coronavirus, so I'm going to set her up on Zoom, feel like she's next to me, and we're going to talk all about saving money during university and also after university, and talk about all her top tips for money, saving, budgeting and everything to do with money, because obviously we have our student loan during university, and then when we're popped out the other end we don't have that student loan and we start to panic about how we're going to survive in the adult world. So Ola is going to help you with all of our questions to do with budgeting after university and during university. Right, so I have a very exciting guest on, as I just told you all. So hello Ola, very happy to have you on, and thank you so much for joining us.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
So if you want to quickly introduce yourself, what uni did you go to, when did you graduate, and what are you doing now?
Yeah, so my name is Ola, I'm 23 and I graduated from the University of Birmingham last year now. I studied business management. Obviously I'm still yet to have my graduation. I don't know when that's going to be at this rate, but it's hopefully soon. And now I am the founder of All Things Money, which is a personal finance platform, predominantly on Instagram, but we are also on Facebook and Twitter. And yeah, I kind of created it in the first lockdown. As I finished uni, my dreams to Australia got crushed, and now All Things Money to keep me occupied.
Great. So as the founder of All Things Money, what would be your top 3 tips for budgeting at university?
Right, that's a good question. So number 1, I would say make sure you try and give yourself a weekly budget at uni, because obviously most of us are just living on our student loan, and obviously we don't want to blow it up in one semester. Which I know a few people did when I was at uni. So yeah, so you want to try and do that by working out your income, which for me was my student loan, and obviously take away your expenses. So for example, that may be your rent, your bills, and then anything you're left over with, that's your disposable income. So kind of divide that by how many weeks you have in the semester, for example, to kind of give you like a weekly budget. So yes, that's what my tip number 1 is. So make sure you have like a proper set budget. You can do this in your notes page or just writing it down. And my second tip is to try and find creative ways to increase your income. So obviously life at uni, as me and Bronte know, can sometimes be financially tight, so it is also always good to try and see if you can try and increase your income. So that may be from selling clothes on eBay, or if you want to create a side hustle, definitely recommend it as well. And lastly, as a student, make sure you take full advantage of student discount codes and apps as well. This will allow you to save lots of money. So yeah, so make sure you take advantage of that wherever possible. Websites such as like Student Beans and Uni Days were literally a saver for me. So yeah.
Yeah, that was literally the same as me. Like anywhere I went, I was like, do you do student discount? Like I'd always ask if anyone did student discount. Like honestly, I think student discount, you need to use it to your full advantage, because when you leave uni, it's like, oh, it's not quite there anymore.
No, and that like £4 or £2.50 here and there, like from Superdrug and Boots and all sorts, it definitely makes a difference. So yeah,
100%. I love those top tips. They were great. So any top tips for people that have left university, graduating, that obviously it's very hard to find a job in the current climate, so just budgeting after leaving uni? Obviously we don't have our student loan, so it's a lot harder. So any of your top tips for graduates?
Yeah, so obviously like you said, it can be quite daunting, especially now that we're in this pandemic as well, which definitely doesn't help. So I think especially in the last year, it's definitely important to have like an emergency fund or like a pot of savings. So my tip number 1 is to create a separate savings account. That means you obviously don't get tempted to spend any money that is meant for your savings. Obviously, because of the current economic climate at the moment, there aren't many great savings accounts at the moment. But if you are interested in opening a separate savings account, then websites such as moneysupermarket.com and money.co.uk will be able to recommend like the best saving website and best saving accounts on the market for you at the moment. But yeah, that's definitely tip number 1. And then my second tip, I think, would be to start small. Like whether, obviously like you said, some people may be out of a job, or some people may have a job, luckily in this climate. Start small. You don't have to have too much like saved up. I think a lot of us young adults like associate savings with like large sums of money, like thousands and thousands of pounds that we save. But no, just kind of set yourself a budget of like how much you can afford to like put aside. And yeah, even if it's £5 a week, £5 more than what it was before. So yeah, that's tip number 2. And lastly, tip number 3, if you do have a job, set yourself a direct debit. So obviously you don't have to worry about manually moving like money from one account to the other every month, because that can get kind of tiresome, you may forget. So yeah, setting up a direct debit on your payday is definitely another tip of mine. So the money literally automatically goes straight out of your account. You can't touch it, and yeah, you don't get tempted to spend it.
They're really great. Like even now listening to them, I'm like, right, I'm gonna go set up a direct debit. I'm gonna, like, yeah. It's so good to know.
Take your notes.
Yeah, definitely. Like, honestly, you don't realise how much you need savings. Like even if it's just £50, and like your bills are over more than you think, or like your shopping is a bit more this week, then at least you know you have that £50 to put towards anything that you need.
Yeah, no, definitely, and especially like, for the example, I had like my tyre went flat the other day, and I was like, oh gosh, so I had to like obviously just kind of fork out like £60 for a new tyre. But obviously that's only because I had savings, and there's nothing worse than having no money to be able to fix that kind of thing, because I need to drive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I completely agree. And with apps such as like Monzo and the money saving apps that have really evolved during the past years to be easier to save, do you recommend having, because I know people have little pots on Monzo and use them, but some people are like, I don't want to do that because my money's just sitting there, it might not grow. So what apps would you personally recommend for people at the moment for like budgeting and using their money?
Yeah. So I've got like 3 top ones for like budgeting and saving. Monzo is definitely up there as one of my personal favourites. I use that personally to hold my weekly budget. So I'd move every month, like I said, direct debit goes straight into my Monzo pot, and I have like a weekly budget there. You've got like the saving pots, and obviously you've got it shows you where you're spending your money. So for example, my last semester of uni, I think I spent like £250 in one pub, which was really shameful because it accumulates where all your money goes. So yeah, if you want to know where your money's going by the end of the month, honestly, Monzo will definitely show you that. Emma is also another one. That's a new one on the market. That's another great budgeting app as well. It also helps you set your budget. And Rocket is a new one that I've used personally. I started using it this year, and it's an open banking app that allows you to see all your bank accounts in one place, which is perfect because I've got loads. So yeah, like I said, obviously I've moved my money around, especially with weekly budgets, direct debits. Rocket allows you to like view all your accounts in one place. So yeah, those are my definitely top 3 for budgeting and saving.
Amazing. That's really interesting as well, because I haven't heard of those last 2, and I think it's so important to have apps like that on your phone that you can turn to, because money at the moment, you don't know when things are going to open and you'll start spending more. Like you just don't really know what your income or outcome is going to be at the moment. You can't plan it, so that's really great to have. So lastly, where can we find you on all things money, what's to come, and yeah, any inside information or anything you want to add?
So you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at allthingsmoney_, and I'm also on Facebook at allthingsmoney, and I also have a website which is www.allthingsmoney.uk, where you can access free resources and a wide range of my ebooks and financial planners. And what's in store for All Things Money? That's a good question. I had to think about that one. So I plan to continue hosting like regular workshops, and hopefully make them more regular as they're currently on a monthly basis. And yeah, I think my mind's always just kind of thinking of ideas for something like All Things Money. So maybe like a YouTube channel or a podcast in the future. Who knows? Don't hold me to that. Maybe.
That sounds amazing.
We'll see.
Yeah, that sounds great. Amazing. Thank you so much. I think a podcast would be great. I'd love to just stick on like a 20-minute podcast and listen to like saving tips, how to use your money, like investment, all of that, because I feel like you're not really taught that at school, and it's things like this, like quick YouTube videos that I'm like, oh, okay, that's easier than I thought, but you make it out in your head not to be easy. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on. Honestly, I enjoyed that so much, and I hope you have a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you for having me.